Good morning. It's nearly 8 o'clock here in Guam, and let's see if anybody's going to join. It's just a minute till, but you can see that I have a cat who would like to join in, and both of my cats are looking at all the things that I have gathered to inspire you today, because I saw several queries about how to work with not very privileged children at home. And I would venture to say that, yes, I'm a very, very privileged white woman. And so I have many things in my house, including dance therapy props. And at the same time, I just want to inspire you with everyday home items. I could call this the home series, and we could, pull things out of the kitchen, we could pull things out of the bedroom, etc. So, anyway, it is now 8 o'clock. So I'll go ahead and start, and then I'll share this video widely, and I hope it inspires you. Now, I'm going to sort of do things on my own, but give suggestions that I'm hoping that some of this work you're going to be doing is with a child and their caregiver, or you might be doing work with somebody who's got a disability, but their caregiver is available to work with them, or you might be working with an elderly person with their caregiver. And whatever the context is, think about how beautiful it is that we are bringing this into their home, and isn't it where we want the work that we do to generalize more? That, in the home setting, that some of the things that we often see in our therapy office begin to happen. So I'm just going to start off with, most homes have some kind of chairs. I'm going to show you a few of things I have. And then in most homes, what do people sleep with? I've got a pillow. I've got a pillowcase. I've got a different kind of pillow. And for my chairs, I have a chair from my dining room, a yoga chair, which I know most people aren't going to have, but I used to have a lot more just random folding chairs. And, many people might have a folding chair, or there's usually going to be a chair at home. And then this is a bit of a step ladder, and some people have them, some people don't. If you're working with deprived community, they might not have them. So the first thing I'm going to encourage is, with children, how much they love playing and making a house. So this is just an old sheet, and you just can put it over the chairs. If you only have one chair, you can just put it over that one chair. And then all kinds of games can come out of creating a house. Some kind of pretend play, some kind of imagination. You can go in and out. So that's a little bit about creating the house. You can also, take a blanket. It's one of my mini blankets. You can use that instead to cover the house. Now, the blanket's going to have more weight. So, it just depends on what you're working with. But the blanket's just going to have more weight. So any kind of, settling down that you want to do, if you're working with kids that really you want to help them settle their nervous system, of course, you can bring blankets in, or suggest using blankets to weight them down. And of course, sheets, like blankets, can be used to create costuming effects, hide and seek, hiding under, and the sheets are a little bit lighter and can create some kind of, movement game. So it can be used as opposed to a parachute. It's not going to be as light as a parachute, but it can still be used. A blanket can also be used on the floor, if you have a caregiver who just lightly pulls the child. So I'll just put the pillow in there to simulate. So it's like you play the game of pulling around. I'm going to kind of move the chairs for now, just to give myself some more movement space. And depending on how you're working with the kid in a home, you may be working more in close proximity. So I will give you more ideas. Anyway, so you've got blankets you pull around the child. Now we have pillows, and we know, you can play with pillows on your body. You can toss them to each other. They can become that, game of back and forth. I mean, you may want to use a pillowcase, you may not, but, a pillowcase can also double as lightweight material, and you can put things inside of it, and you can, it can become so many things. So you can put it on your foot, move that around, put 2 feet in there, and the old, what were those games called where you jumped? We each had a foot in a pillowcase, and so, you jumped along. So, it's like returning back to the basics when we lived in a farmhouse and we just had very basic things and outdoor things, things outdoors. So anyway, you've got a pillowcase, and there's a lot you can do with a pillowcase. And most people are going to have a pillowcase at home. At least I hope so. I mean, that would be one of my thoughts. And so there's many ways to use them. You can go underneath it and breathe through it. That's why I'm not using plastic bags today, because we know that plastic bags are not very good. But a pillowcase can act as a bag too, so that other objects can be put in it. So there's many ways to use a pillowcase. And again, it's lightweight and can be used to do movement in so many ways. You can make games with all these things. You can, take the child's creative ideas. And then, say you're working with an elderly patient, they could hold onto the edge of it and with their caregiver, and you could just start to see what movements are emerging, and you just, speak to that. Now, I'll go to towels next. Is that, towels also, like the pillowcases, you can have a hand towel, you can have a larger towel, you can have a beach towel. I live near the beach, so I've got a beach towel. Now, in a deprived situation, you may just have a little ratty towel. And so, again, that can become many things, can become costuming, can be placed on the body parts, can be, used to move the body part, or just to stabilize the body and play around with the rest of the body. So I'm not developing these ideas at the moment. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of what might be in the home that you can work with and stimulate movement or stimulate social interaction. So anything like this, Even this can be held by two people, and you can begin some kind of movement process. Now I'm going to pull a few things from the kitchen. When my son was, oldest son was a baby, his favorite toy was a wooden spoon. So in our kitchens, not everybody might have a wooden spoon, but I would venture to say that every kitchen has some spoon. Might be a plastic spoon, but we have spoons. Usually there's at least a pot and maybe a bowl. Now the nice thing about this is, you know, kids like to make sound and play music, so you can use kitchen things to play music. And because I have chopsticks, and maybe you will have kids who have chopsticks, they make a good rhythm thing. But you can also just use the spoons or the wooden spoons to do rhythm and, you know, tapping on the body. It can be fun to, you know, make a little orchestra, make a little band. So that can be one way. So, and I have a measuring cup. I was looking for like a plastic drinking cup, but I've been trying to kind of have less plastic and more glass. But in our movement work, we're not going to want to use glass so much. But you know, a plastic cup container can be used for so many things. Well, so can a bowl. You know, you can start to play games with the towel and see who can. It's two different bowls of two different sizes. You can see who can, you know, make it into the bowl. You know, make it fun. Do it with your opposite hand. Try to make it into the little plastic cup. Yeah, it doesn't quite work because it's little, but, you know, your imagination is there and available. So, you know, there's all kinds of things you can do with kitchenware. So that's a little bit about the kitchen series. And then I just put it to you, do people have balls in their house or not? I mean, a lot of people have animals. Hi, Gandalf. So they might have a tennis ball or a ball for the animal. This is an old cheap ball. It's in my dance therapy props, but it's an old cheap ball. And, you know, you can ask them to make sure they've washed it off. But if they're in their own home, they're obviously enmeshed in their own germs. But again, we know, we as dance therapists have used balls so many times, so you can create a variety of games. They can, you know, find their own movement exploration with the ball. And of course, this can be an interactive tool with whoever you might be working with, especially if they've got a caregiver at home. So that's another option. Now, what else might be in your house? Well, used to be that everybody had a newspaper, right? Or we get flyers all the time, right? Advertising flyers in the mailbox. So, you know, think about what you could do with a piece of newspaper, because it can fly. You know, kids, and I've got regular paper here too, kids love to make, you know, airplanes. I mean, not that I'm very good at this, and I'm not going to do it very quickly, but, you know, you can make paper airplanes and fly them around the house. So, newspaper is a wonderful thing to play with. And if you really want to, you know, do some movement, you know, you can play with, well, what can this become? And, you know, I'm just trying to inspire you. It's not about me developing all these ideas, but these are some of the ideas. And it can also then be wadded up like a ball. Oops, I missed. and pitched into your container, you know, so you've got some kind of ball, you can play with that. A regular piece of paper as well can be wadded up and done that too. So there's many things you can do with this. Obviously, there's many people who don't want to use paper with really, really young children who want to eat it. But, you know, most children will get creative with a piece of paper, and there's usually some kind of mail around the house, right? A bill. You know, it's less and less now than it was, just like newspapers are less and less, but usually there's advertising flyers in people's thing. So now I'm going to move up the paper world and into boxes. Boxes, boxes, boxes. Now, not everybody's going to have boxes, but you know, people leave boxes outside all the time. Boxes are really easy to get. And boxes come in different shapes and sizes. And of course, you can do all kinds of things with boxes. Problem is, me getting the boxes out, the cats wanted to get in them. So, you know, you can make all kinds of goofy games, costumes, and, you know, movement, because they do have movement to them. And they're lightweight, made out of cardboard, and there's a lot you can do with them. These little ones have different movement than, say, the bigger ones. And I didn't get out even bigger ones, but, you know, a lot of people will have cardboard boxes. And then think about, if you're trying to do something focused, you know, what can we create with the boxes? We can build the boxes. And then, of course, where's my newspaper? Take a pillow and you want to knock it down. So, you know, people are going to have a lot of frustration about having to be restricted in their activities. So you can, you know, create a whole game, a whole movement game based on the boxes. And if you happen to have boxes, then you might have, now I forgot what it's called. Anyway, you might have, oh God, see? I'm just losing it. Well, there's a little tape in here, but the tape's sort of no good anymore. Bubble wrap, thank you very much. I remembered what it was. And who doesn't like to, you know, press bubble wrap? So you can take your pots and pans and your spoons and do a whole musical with bubble wrap. You know, bubble wrap and sound of bubble wrap and the sound of pots. But, you know, bubble wrap is one of those things that I had a friend who did a whole dance, a whole solo dance on the bubble wrap. So, you know, you can step on it. Yeah, there we go. So I just have this little piece. I have more in my house I could get out, but I just wanted to show you what the possibilities are. So then you can play, you know, with balancing and, you know, what kind of dance can you create with that bubble wrap? So kids would absolutely adore that. Now I'm sort of addressing more kids, but you know, some of these ideas apply to everybody. Then there's bags. What kind of bags around? This is kind of an old paper bag. I have a little cloth bag that my son made for me in Germany many years ago. But bags also, just sort of similar to the pillowcase, allow for possibility of movement. You know, I feel like I'm creating something with flags here. So they have lots of possibility, plus, you know, bags like the pillowcase. You can put things inside. You can play a game of what's in here, or just some kind of close your eyes, tactile what's in here, you know, and identifying that way. And anything tactile works with any of the groups that I've been talking about earlier, with the elderly, with people with disabilities. Now, I'm going to get to some other random things that some people might have and some people might not. Might have a ribbon left over from some package. And of course, we know all about ribbon dancing and how, you know, we can make movement with ribbon. You might have, I love this about, if you've seen Susan Kleinman's video, she uses these rubber bands. Now she uses really nice ones. These are just random ones that were in my drawer, but and then some of them are caught in other little stringy things. But you can do all kinds of interesting things, and you can, she showed how you can do little movement interactions, each person holding a finger. So I'll just use my two hands, you know, using the rubber band, and how one leads and the other follows, and then one can lead and the other follows. So you can play with the rubber band as a connecting tool. And she probably had really, really nice rubber bands, and these are just ones that, I mean, these come around food items, for instance. So, I mean, some of this stuff, of course, you might want to recommend that they wash before they use it, and there we go, I broke it. So it was a cheapie. But even, you know, these little, do I have another one? Little twisty things. There, you could have a whole game with the twisty things, twisting them around each other's fingers, twisting around your toes, you know, so little random things that you might find in drawers in the house. Now, this is a piece, I got this in an op shop in New Zealand, but this is some wool. Now, most people these days aren't knitters, but I don't know, knitting's made a comeback. So some kind of string, I'm just using this as an example because people might have different things. So you might just have string or something in your house that you use to, fishing line. I've got fishing line. So you might have some fishing line. I mean, these are just random things, but you know, you can do all kinds of things if you have just string. I mean, even, you know, creating some kind of attachment with the chairs, you know. And with all of this, you can take all your objects and make obstacle courses as well. So you can say, when you get to this chair, you sit down, extend your legs. Now, because I have a stepping ladder, you can play with, you know, stepping up the ladder. Now, not everybody's going to have that. Maybe they just have a stool and you can step on the stool. But there's all kinds of things you can do with chairs. And those of you who've done lots of sessions in chairs, usually every home is going to have a chair. So you can have, maybe I'm wrong, maybe people sit on, I sit on the floor a lot, but you know, so chairs can do so much movement. And I did a video a long time ago about movement in the chair. And that's also a way that you can contain children sometimes. When you're working with an elderly person, also the chairs are really useful. But, you know, there's so much fun movement that can come from any kind of string. And I just happen to have this wool. So these are just a few things I hope that sparked your imagination. And if you have any questions, please feel free. Please feel free to ask me. This is one of the longer videos I've done, but it feels like it's kind of a necessity. And at some stage, you know, I was inspired with students quite a few years ago where we were doing a tutorial, and we did this tutorial, and I got the inspiration to just improvise with a random object that's in front of you. Forgot to bring out a pencil because a pencil has, you know, qualities as well. And you know, that was very inspiring to do. So I make sure that we use random objects to inspire your creative thinking, because we're often in places where we're without. So, it's not just about our beautiful dance therapy props and getting completely addicted, just like getting addicted to using music and the power goes out. So, so how do we adjust to that? Um, and, some of you may be just wanting to return to the workforce. Maybe you've been a mother at home. And I'm going to begin a program soon where we cover all kinds of creative things, get you leading again, get you into your confidence, into that deep body knowing that we have as dance therapists. And gosh, hasn't this come at an interesting time when we can use our practice to keep ourselves feeling, or noticing all our feelings throughout this. And then at the same way, we can guide our clients through this as well. So this is a real opportune time for us, because I feel that we carry within our experiences this incredible knowledge, the knowledge of the body, the knowledge of creativity, the knowledge of improvisation that comes out of the dance. And isn't this a time where we need to improvise? So if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to message me. And many blessings. And we're all in this together. We're all connected.